Official ceremonies, wreaths and speeches in Kiev. For the state, it is the anniversary of the beginning of the heroic resistance. For thousands of families, it is another day without those who died. In homes and cemeteries, the war has the faces of specific people: fathers, husbands, sons, mothers, wives and daughters. Their heroism is recorded in reports, sometimes honoured with posthumous rewards. But for all of them, it is above all a hole in their hearts. During the mission in which he died, my father saved 47 other people at the cost of his own life. Very heroic, but very painful. There are dozens, hundreds, thousands of such stories. There are no unheroic deaths here. That is why, for their loved ones, the meaning of this war is not measured by the map of the front, but by whether the sacrifice of their loved ones will bring a future to the next generation. The boys did not die in vain. I strongly believe that they were on their way to victory. We will wait for that victory, so that we have a future, so that children are born again, run and enjoy life, and do not sit in shelters and cry because of grief, pain and loss. At state celebrations, Ukrainian authorities emphasize that despite 4 years of fighting, Russia has failed to break either the country or its people. Putin has not achieved his goals. He has not broken the Ukrainians. He has not won this war. We have saved Ukraine, and we will do everything to ensure peace and justice for it. European leaders and NATO representatives have arrived in Kiev. The visit is intended to show solidarity and remind everyone that the outcome of the war remains crucial for the security of all of Europe. Ceremonies commemorating the beginning of the Ukrainian nightmare were held in many cities across Western Europe.
We gathered this morning to mark yet another terrible anniversary. 4 years of unforgiving war. We remember today and every day what Ukraine has endured. But while we pay tribute to those lost and those suffering, we also stand in hope, inspired by 4 years of unbroken resistance.
Since the early days of the conflict, Ukraine has received financial, military and humanitarian assistance from the West. One of the key countries supporting Kiev from the outset has been Poland, which has taken in millions of refugees, provided military equipment, and remains one of the main logistical channels for humanitarian aid and military support. Russia's aggression against Ukraine is a serious threat to the security of all of Europe. History teaches that ignoring Russia's imperial ambitions has always led to tragedy. The democratic world must remain united in the face of such challenges. We expect an end to actions that destabilize the region. We respect the courage of the people who stand up for freedom every day.
Whatever Putin tells himself and his people, Russia is not winning. And we must shift the narrative into that place with greater force and determination. And just to underscore that point, in the last year, Russia has suffered 500,000 casualties to gain and occupy less than 1% extra of Ukrainian territory. That is not a country that 4 years into a conflict is winning.
On the front lines, the situation remains very difficult and dynamic for the defenders. In many places, the fighting consists of slowly wearing down the enemy. At the same time, talks about the possible start of peace negotiations are continuing, although the official positions of both sides still differ significantly.
In terms of the distance between the negotiating positions of the two sides, the Americans, if you were to believe them at face value in terms of what they're putting out as commentary, is that the gap is narrowing. It's narrowing to a few difficult-to-resolve issues, some of which we can well assume would relate to the territorial status of the Donbass region. But I think the reality is that if you were to ask the two sides, the answer might be very different. And in particular, Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine's president, has put out a number of tweets that have indicated that there is still a lot of daylight between the two sides, between his negotiating team and the Russian negotiating team.
That is why the Ukrainian army is training more soldiers, considering the prospect of a long-term conflict. For many young people, the decision to join the army is made quietly, often without grand declarations and without informing their loved ones. The first time, I wanted to join the same unit as my brother. He made sure I didn't go. The second time, my family talked me out of it. And the third time, as you can see, no one talked me out of it. I just didn't tell anyone. I went, and that was it. For many of these soldiers, the choice is clear. As I told my parents, either they kill us all or we kill them. I don't see any other option. 4 years of war have changed the daily lives of millions of civilians. And although it is unimaginable in the shadow of air raid sirens and constant danger, life goes on. People work, study and try to plan for the future, even if they don't know whether they have a future. I see that the front line has held for 4 years. Regardless of what people say about the government one way or another, I see that even though there may be corruption and various problems, people are working and trying to do everything they can to end this war. I don't want to lose hope. If we've endured 4 years, I want to believe that we can endure more, because there is simply no other option. 4 years of war have changed Ukraine, but they have not broken those who live there. For the families of the fallen, young recruits and millions of civilians, the future still means one thing: surviving another day and believing that the sacrifice was not in vain. Because for them, this war is not history or politics. It is their life, their everyday reality.